Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi will visit China from February 14 to 16 at the request of Chinese President Xi Jinping. For both nations, this visit is tremendously significant. Iran's national news agency, IRNA, responded to the Iranian people's high hopes for this trip by publishing pertinent material as headline news. During President Raisi's visit to China, it is anticipated that the two nations will sign several cooperating documents to develop their comprehensive strategic partnership further. President Xi said that China viewed China-Iran relations from a strategic and long-term perspective during his conversation with President Raisi at the SCO summit in Samarkand last year. Additionally, the Iranian government stated that this visit would be important from an economic, political, and strategic standpoint. The word strategic, which frequently appears in discussions of China-Iran cooperation, is a highly condensed representation of the relationship between the two nations. China and Iran, two ancient civilizations in Asia, are now significant industrialized superpowers and energy sources, respectively. Economically speaking, the two nations are very complementary and eager to flourish. In many areas, the two nations' development needs are compatible. China has been Iran's leading commercial partner for a long time, and Iran is one of China's most important export destinations for finished technology and equipment sets. China is the target partner of Iran's Looking East policy, and Iran plays a significant role in the process of China's high-quality development of the Belt and Road Initiative through collaborative efforts. Future collaboration between the two parties has enormous potential. There is a potent endogenous driving force behind the advancement of China-Iran ties. President Raisi's trip to China can be considered extremely normal. But because the U.S. continues to impose harsh sanctions on Iran, China is the principal object of U.S. strategic repression. While asserting that both China and Iran are opposed to the U.S. and that cooperation between the two will weaken U.S. efforts to isolate Iran. Certain U.S. and Western public opinion has presented a strange perspective on the relationship between China and Iran. Such a zero-sum mindset is arrogant, unreasonable, and oppressive. China and Iran don't need to behave following their attitudes, and it is even less likely that the two nations will cut back on their relations because certain people are dissatisfied. In actuality, the cooperation between China and Iran in recent years has achieved a great deal by overcoming U.S. intervention and sabotage. Although it may be challenging to change this scenario in a short amount of time, there is a great deal of room and potential for win-win collaboration between nations, including China and Iran, that cannot be obstructed by the political forces of the U.S. and the West. China's expanding partnership with Iran has an anti-hegemonic and anti-bullying component in this sense. Furthermore, China and Iran both uphold independent foreign policies, vehemently support the rule of non-interference in domestic affairs when acting on behalf of other nations, and defend the shared interests of emerging countries. This is consistent with the prevailing trend of the time and helps to promote the multipolarization and diverse development of the world. Therefore, anyone feeling targeted during this process should consider whether they are acting too selfishly. The world today is undergoing significant changes unseen in a century. Under Washington's moves, the international structure is being divided and restructured, with the vicious trend of forming blocs and camps again emerging, which puts the non-Western world in a difficult situation and once again faces historical choices. The existing U.S.-led international system is designed to bully and exploit developing and emerging countries. Now Washington still thinks that it is not convenient enough, that the interests of developing countries have increased in weight, and wants to reconstruct a new international system with a stronger tendency, which is undoubtedly a significant challenge for the non-Western world and needs to be resisted by forming a joint effort. Numerous developing nations established the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM, during the Cold War to pursue independent, autonomous, and non-camp goals and principles. Approximately 55% of the world's population now resides in NAM countries, and two-thirds of the UN's current members are NAM members. Unfortunately, the U.S. and Western public opinion have chosen to disregard this significant political force. China is a natural partner for the NAM since it has consistently shared fate with many developing nations, supported the proper understanding of justice and interests, and advanced a more equitable and sensible course for the world governance system. President Raisi's visit to China was portrayed in some U.S. and Western media outlets as China and Iran huddling together for warmth. As a result of their binary opposition thinking and the way Washington has skewed the global environment, we are not surprised by such a viewpoint. Everything that the US and the West perceive is distorted when viewed through a warped mirror. It must be acknowledged that this undervalues China-Iran relations. According to an old proverb, a sparrow cannot predict a swan's intentions. We appreciate President Raisi's visit and anticipate that ties between China and Iran will reach a new high.